falter. We'll see if they can maybe reclaim the victory over FlyQuest again. And this time, maybe not an upset, but sort of a staple match.
I love how Fly is showing everyone on Panther here just to kind of call it out there. Love to see it. Self in the last matchup actually had Panther and Torch banned out heavy target, but then pulled out for one of the first times we've seen in this entire tournament, the Hawkeye, and played really well with the Luna team up, finding a ton of value with that stun into headshots. So not afraid to have a deep hero pool, which I think we need to see more of as we progress through Ignite, where people getting more unique with this banning process, finding ways to, target somebody or at least shut down specific compositions that forces you to pull maybe some more unique heroes out of the bag, as we see Emma and Mag back and forth banned out for either side. Emma going to be locked for the side of FlyQuest, and we are going to see the lock-in for Magneto on the side of Ego Death.
Yeah, this might be, like you mentioned, the target of Self. I mean, Black Panther ban, we see the Torch ban. Self plays these two heroes to such a high level. Also, he plays that Wolverine, but I think it's way easier for him to maybe carry on the Black Panther and the Human Torch. And the game plan hasn't changed to that sort of style where they play the, the thing where Hulk can just toss in that Wolverine. So right now for FlyQuest, like you mentioned, Shib, targeting specifically Self, and on the opposite side, Ego Death, getting rid of the Human Torch because of how strong the hero can be, and the Ultron. They're going to double down potentially on that Adam Warlock as well. Not any focus towards Loki, interestingly enough.
See if they're going to lock in Luna here and maybe run that Hawkeye again. There is a chance that, oh yeah, we do see the lock into Luna there. And I do believe we might see the Hawkeye back on the field here for Self, but we're going to see the next ban. Obviously, two of Self's heroes banned off the rip. We do see, we've had the conversation around Human Torch being an incredibly strong hero. Obviously has some very difficult movement techs that will allow you to be, it's just really hard to get him out of the sky, and has that escape with the dash down. So yeah, goodbye to Human Torch, who has been a menace in this tournament. And we will see some unique picks here on either side. Cap going to be showcased, and Dive, oh wow, potential Iron Fist there from Self again.
Yeah, the real evolution for Self, I think, is to pick up that Psylocke eventually. I think that would definitely help out his hero pool slightly. I mean, Wolverine is a great hero, but, it's hard to dive with the Captain America, specifically on Wolverine. He's sort of on his own little island on the opposite side. We do have that cap as well, and very targeted bans, like you said. And you may be looking at that and you're like, okay, why is Black Panther, Torch, and Venom banned? I didn't see any of these bans before. It's because, like you said, Shib, targeting specifically him. We'll see how that pans out in terms of the ban phase. Maybe that is worthwhile doing this, especially, against a team such as Ego Death. Focusing maybe more on their bans is something that's going to help out the side of FlyQuest, because they didn't do that last time. I think they showed a little bit of ego on their side, not banning out specific heroes for the side of Ego Death. And right now, today, we'll see if Ego Death can adapt.
Yeah, the Venom going to be taken out there for Sombo. Sombo, a really strong Venom. We saw a lot of value with the combination damage boost ultimates with Venom's Feast of the Abyss, which was actually getting, 2 and even 3 pieces on the KO feed during some of these fights. So goodbye Venom, goodbye Panther. And now Ego Death going to have to shift their composition. Zaytek's going to be on the Punisher, Self on the Wolverine, Soko on the Mag. We do have that Luna. They have a very strong backline composition for both sides, as Cooper going to be on that Loki. This is going to be a crazy matchup, as we have Hulk out here for Spark Chief, which hasn't been seen too much in this tournament.
No, they like to play it. FlyQuest does, and they also give the Snowflake to that Hulk to make sure he's enabled a lot more of that Wolverine pressured out. It's interesting that Ego's also not running the Loki, so FlyQuest playing maybe the arguably stronger backline right now, except Cloak and Dagger is good as well. However, momentum's already gone.
Yeah, well done, Sparchy, finding that early pick there. Vest onto Soko too, and already the team of Ego Death is going to be shoved back towards their spawn door. Sparchy for the chase. Nice exile right there, trying to find the pick again, or at least pop the passive of Wolverine, but no, not able to do so. Team is going to reset, as you should. If you lose value, if you lose heroes early on as a team, do not try to fight that 4v5. Odds are not going to be in your favor, or that 5v6. Reset, try again, so they do not get that alt charge for nothing as we press in for fight 2, 25% in the favor of FlyQuest.
Yeah, no ultimates built on either side just yet here on the high ground. Self trying to set it up, but is scouted out yet again, so he has to take a different angle. Ego Death, they're trying to hard play around that thing, but as we've talked about before, Shiv, it's been hard for the Thing players so far in the tournament.
Yeah, and here we go. Energy on a nice off angle here. Energy, a very strong Psylocke, finding momentum and taking out momentum, if you will. Holding on to this dance of the butterfly. Just going to wait a little bit here and then try to find some picks. It's going to be matched on both sides. We do see the fate of both worlds out. Damage boost, trying to make sure the team getting... Oh, nice drop there. Adios is going to be on the Namor, taking out Sabo. Cooper onto Soko. Well done again by FlyQuest, who is now up and in ultimates and up in percentage, roughly 70%. Wow, FlyQuest looking really good.
Yeah, looking good. The switched momentum over to Loki definitely helps, but it's tough when momentum just goes down early to Energy, who was sitting on that off angle. Nobody's clearing out these flanks right now. FlyQuest just controlling them so well. Here comes Self to finally clear out that Psylocke, but he needs to match that the whole time. Otherwise, Energy's going to do what he did earlier.
Passive still about a minute out there for Wolf. Puts him in a dangerous position. Zaytek's going to come in here early with the final judgment. Here goes Crystals and the pop immediately with the dance floor. Team is looking healthy. Emma very difficult to take out when goes in diamond form. Tries to throw the whale. Calling out the fish call. Not able to make anything happen there. Going to drop some of those Octopus on the high side, and that is going to be a dance of the butterfly. So many Qs being popped. Not a ton of value on either side as we find our first pick. Audio is going to take out Zaytek's there. And now Energy onto Self, Vest onto Momentum, Adios onto Sabo, Energy on a far, and that could be it for the first point here. FlyQuest just dominating this domination.
Yep, statement match from them. I mean, FlyQuest played it so well. Ego Death almost, I think they played it pretty good going into that fight, right? You saw that whale, like you mentioned. They had the Emma Frost shield to block on the other side, right, to get to zone out that whale. But right now, for Ego Death, or rather, they didn't have the Emma Frost. That was the opposite side. But for Ego Death, you know, they've been able to kind of just create themselves space towards that point, but not able to finally secure any eliminations with that Wolverine, right? Not able to get that last stand off. It was difficult for Self to really set up. And right now, for Ego Death, they need to change some things. They're going maybe for that Hella swap. That's potentially an answer instead of the Punisher. But right now, I mean, FlyQuest looked pretty formidable, and it's going to be very difficult for the opposite side to kind of deal with this whole competition, because Hulk is so good at just securing, you know, space. He's so good at just running in, being a nuisance, stunning you up, right, immobilizing you with your E, and then also just kind of jumping around, having a ton of HP, having the shields to sort of stay alive. This Hulk player and Spark Chief really has created so much space for the side of FlyQuest to take advantage of, and right now it's the best I think Hulk's looked in the tournament, even in EMEA and across regions.
Yeah, if you know a team is going to be run and dive, why not pull out the Namor Hulk combination and just shut that down? It does force them to play a little more poke, and they are, you know, just changing their mental takes on everything here. It looks like FlyQuest is just kind of owning every single fight on spacing. Spark Chief going to take the height. You notice how Spark is burning the clones. You need to do that in ladder. Couldn't call that out enough. It does heavily reduce the healing and damage output of Loki. Out go Crystals early. There goes the Exile. Does find a little bit of value. Forces out the dance floor. It is damage boosted. The Thing gonna find some value. I'm not sure who is quite stunned yet. Energy on the off angle, and the point is now taken by Ego early on. 7%. We are seeing Qs popped everywhere. We had the last stand of the back line. Self takes out Cooper. Adios onto Zaytek. Self again onto Zello. Spark Chief trades it right back out of momentum. It is so back and forth, just going crazy on Hulk here, and that's 3. Spark Chief looking incredible, but they do not have the point. All of this is for naught if Ego can hold on.
No, I mean, Spark Chief just carried that. Now the portal comes back through from Zaytek. They still have the objective, but unfortunate for Momentum, had his ultimate canceled. Now FlyQuest fully in advantage. Obviously, they don't have the objective, so as long as Ego just kind of runs in, they can stall the point. But with this Sonic Seduction, that should finally secure it for the side of FlyQuest. And right now, it's been very hard for Ego Death. I think that was a great engage, and luckily they're on domination, so 44% on the point was built after that first fight in Self with a huge last stand, like you mentioned. But FlyQuest, right, surrounding the objective. You saw Spark Chief flank all the way over the top side. Energy that was there to collapse upon them. And right now, FlyQuest scouting, making sure they can stuff Ego Death at this choke.
Yeah, FlyQuest with the ult advantage in this fight. Soko holding on to that Meteor Ram. I do like the shift in composition here from Ego heavily. It does bode well for them to play pokey together, allow Wolverine to find some value on his own, just play his own game. Energy with great positioning here. Does have that dance of the butterfly. Gonna try to force out Crystals. There they go. Now ult is available, ready to take a ton of space with this Q and allow the team some... Oh, Audio's gonna find Self, and that's a great start. As we do see the dance now. Aggressive finds 2. Soko, momentum go down. Will they be able to to get 3 as Sparchi playing hyper aggro and walking towards Far as Far falls as well. Energy, great positioning, great engagement timing, and that's what you want to see from players at this level. So well played. Way to get those crystals out and way to follow up.
Yeah, this is why we see dive taking over the meta right now. Any sort of dive, honestly. You play Hulk dive, you play Venom dive, you play some sort of cap dive, and if you're new to the game, basically dive just means that you are the ones that are engaged upon. You can kind of walk up as a unit, take space together, but realistically, FlyQuest comp, they just want to dive on the squishies. They want to make sure those squishies are very uncomfortable, and they try to do it again, but right now, FlyQuest, they're actually getting the momentum shifted on them, and Ego Death have Zaytek going forward, just pumping out damage on Hela.
Yeah, like I said, I like the switch, but Energy is looking so clean out here, finding a ton of value on this Psylocke. Out goes the dance floor. We do see Hulk taking a ton of space, trying to lock someone down. The Exile goes out, still holding, and just gonna press Q and just try to hold somebody in place for a moment. And it is completely switched. The dance floor is out again, and it's still being held by Ego, so the numbers are now shifting towards their favor.
Yeah, they flipped the point, but I mean, they're still losing people here regardless. That was a great flip of the objective. Ego just sort of hard rush the point, but they need to find some eliminations here, Shiv. They need to do something, and right now, Energy is just kind of roaming free. I'm not sure. Has he even gone down once? It feels like Energy is just dominating. I think he did falter at one time, but Ego to flip the point again to FlyQuest.
Yeah, we saw Tap pop off with Psylocke here too, and Energy doing the same thing. A very much a backline focused map where you can make plays on off angles and never be seen again, especially when you're Psylocke. Adios with 2 there is a huge start to this final fight as FlyQuest is owning everything. Soko's got that Meteor Rem, but Zelos and Adios holding on to the whale and the dance floor. Will this pick go out early? Energy tried. Here goes the Meteor Rem. No value there as crystals get popped. Energy takes out Far, and FlyQuest are gonna win map 1.
Yeah, what a map from FlyQuest. Statement win versus Ego Death, the team that beat them in the upper bracket, to send them down below to go against Solaris and have a very tough series in the first round. So FlyQuest, you know, kind of leveling up, getting better throughout the tournament, and really it is a well-deserved MVP from Cooper and this backline in general. I think the Luna Snow placements of the Snowflakes was perfect, keeping their Hulk alive. I mean, we talk about a lot of good strategist players in the world. FlyQuest, their backline is definitely one of them. I know they're seen as sort of a, I don't know, villains on social media. I mean, I'm not going to get into that obviously, but you know, it's cool to see them kind of have such a formidable backline. I think they're so strong, and realistically it's tough to eliminate Energy, to eliminate Spark Chief. I mean, Spark Chief had no casualties, so just really good job. I think that was a testament to his positioning, obviously in the Vanguard positioning, but realistically the strategist doing a good job keeping their front line alive at all times and rotating that Snowflake when it's necessary to either Energy or that Hulk.
We talk about more obscure compositions, and we haven't seen much Namor in this pro play. So well done there by Adios, who didn't get KO'd a single time. 9 final hits, and Energy 13 final hits. And honestly, one of the stats you need to look at: 10k damage, 13 final hits. And you may be saying, you know, as you're climbing ladder, that's not that much damage. Damage does not matter. It's all about taking out the backline and the enemy. Those final hits are all that matters, and I'm happier to see less damage with more final hits. It means you were very pointed with your attack. It was not just pumping into the tank and allowing their strategist lines to get those ults quickly. Instead, it was finding a ton of value and picking off everyone, as you see Energy here with this 3-piece.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so much, just absolutely choked out right now of the opposite side. You know, in previous metas, Shib, it feels like we talked about Hulk being like that brawl character, not so much a dive hero. But in this game, I mean, dive is so interesting because it's so. We were talking to, was it Hogs? I don't remember. I was talking to Wav, maybe. One of the pro players was talking about how in this game in Marvel Rivals, it's so easy to take these flank angles compared to other hero shooters. I think you have to fight for space. In this game, not really, right? We saw Energy free pretty much every time. Now you could say that's maybe the fundamentals of Ego Death not being there, right? Clearing out these angles, clearing out that Psylocke, making sure at least cooldowns are used. It's tough because, I mean, all these flank angles, all these positionings was just taken by FlyQuest, and there was really nothing they could do. Self-marked it like once, but we need to see that constantly. Like, if you're not constantly doing damage to the front line, that's fine. As long as you're, you know, 1-for-1 trade, if you're on Wolverine, making sure their Psylocke is not getting in position. We saw Envy do that versus Ego Death whenever Self was on Black Panther. You just saw that Cal said he was on Self duty, right? He was just making sure Self wasn't setting up. So, I mean, smart fundamentals, good fundamentals out of FlyQuest, and not so much so on an Ego Death side. We'll see if they can turn it around on the next map. We're going to go to a short break. We'll see you guys back here for map number 2.
Welcome back, everyone, as we just witnessed Ego get kind of destroyed by Fly, who had saw the future, saw what they were going to run, and shut that down quickly. And I kind of I had this conversation with you. I just wanted to see Ego have another successful dive round, but I don't know that we're going to see it, as teams are now countering it and ensuring they take home the W.
Yeah, right now for Ego Death, their next evolution for this team is, potentially we'll see how they do versus FlyQuest, right? Like we talking about Techie, it's cherry on top because they're already qualified for the playoffs. But for Ego Death, their next evolution is definitely increasing the hero pool a little bit, maybe marking the flanks a little bit better. There's a lot they could work on after this one. And this is when we talk about losses. You learn a lot more from losses than from wins a lot of the time, right? We talked about how, I think in interviews, across the pond, when we see teams play against, better teams and they just get dominated, you're like, okay, this is what we could do better, we can improve. And it's almost like if you're the winning team, there's not much to take away from there. So that's why you see a lot of the top teams, blacklist the lower, not the lower tier teams, but the teams trying to learn from them, right? Because it's tough, because if you practice against somebody, say a scrim block is 2 hours, if you're wondering what a scrim is, it's practice for these pro players. These pro teams are constantly playing against each other, usually 2 blocks a day, so you're playing 4 to 6 hours minimum just in like official practice besides rank queue and stuff. So in those practices, you have to be figuring out what to play, and especially when ban systems are involved, like we are right now in this asymmetrical ban system. There's definitely an interesting discussion that becomes with, do you want to blacklist rosters? And right now, if I was FlyQuest, I'd maybe be looking at egoing Ego Death as Cooper-tastic, versus Momentum. That matchup was a little one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how well Cooper handled that Loki play, just only falling 3 times and having 14 KOs. The healing was matched on both sides. It goes to show you how strong Momentum can be on Loki as well. Good, yeah. We've had a conversation with Momentum, a very strong player, but just getting turned around on with this Hulk Psylocke. The Psylocke pressure was just a little too much. Forcing out those crystals early just makes Loki very vulnerable, as he doesn't have a ton of escape. The invisible can happen, but you catch a stray shot there by Psylocke and you are immediately uninvisible. You're out in the open and you have nothing left. And we saw just a ton of KOs onto that back line.
Yeah, bear in mind, don't invest too much in the stats, because I think it doesn't tell the full story. It definitely tells the part that like Momentum was the hard target, right? It's a team effort to clear out these angles and or even play the dive comp yourself, right? It's tough because I think how they played it is definitely not ideal, considering Momentum, like we saw with 8 casualties. It wasn't necessarily his fault entirely. Like the team, I think I'm not going to say let him down, but the whole team as a unit just had a tough time clearing out, like you mentioned, that Psylocke, and the energy just had his way with Ego Death. We'll see how they do it in the ban phase. Maybe a look at this Hulk, maybe something with FlyQuest specifically, but it's Emma Frost bans for both teams.
Yeah, I think one of the things we need to discuss is when you are a very focused dive composition team, you maybe struggle with peel, because honestly, peel isn't as common when you're going dive. You're fully committing. So now that they weren't running dive in that last match, you could see the backline just struggling to catch up with the Vanguards, and they were falling over quickly. So you need to make sure you have eyes on them, giving them some time and some space to be able to play the game. But no, FlyQuest took that away from them, as you saw the 9 KOs there, or excuse me, 8 KOs there on Momentum. Like you said, a hard focus onto Momentum at far, with a total of 15 KOs against them.
Same bans for Ego Death. Not sure if I'm a crazy fan of that. I mean, I don't mind the Ultron ban, but what we saw on EMEA, it doesn't seem like the Ultron's the focal point of that sort of system. Ego Death banning out Torch. Did they do the same thing last time? They're not changing anything, it looks like, Chip.
Yeah, the definition of insanity here, where you can't expect new results if you're going to run the same thing over and over again. I am with you. I think we need to see something different, but maybe they had a conversation about what they needed to change. Maybe we'll see something different here. Typically, we see Ego pop off more frequently on things like Convoy, and they do like these divey maps like Araco, obviously chosen by Ego. For those of you who don't know, the first map is a randomized domination. Second map is chosen by the losing team and side. So they elected to go down Araco, which we have seen them have a ton of success with over this tournament. But like we have been saying, dive is virtually off the table for them, which is definitely their strong suit.
I suppose the only variance for map 1 was the Emma getting banned. Was it so FlyQuest now got that Emma banned. They cannot play that hero, and the Magneto getting banned on the opposite side. So we'll see if that's enough. Maybe we see these sort of unsigned teams, I feel like do similar things, not like an entire variance of comp. changes. You know, we saw Techie do a similar thing, only changed one thing, put in the Luna Snow this time, getting rid of the Emma for Ego Death. And since the ban phase was, I'm not going to say not exciting, but maybe, you know, the same thing as last time, Shib, since you're the lore guy, you know, what do we got here on this map on Araco? You know, is it similar to Krakoa?
Sure, yeah. So Krakoa and Araco are essentially sister islands. So torn apart, Araco is more of an aggressive, war-focused, or at least more of a battle-focused island. So Ultron has their eye on Araco. So you'll actually, one of the crazy things for those of you who don't know, you're actually walking Krakoa towards Araco. So a pretty cool little lore aspect of the map there, as you see right there. Krakoa, great timing, and thank you, observers, as Krakoa is now going to start walking forward on the first point. Here we go.
And starting off, FlyQuest going to play triple Vanguard, triple strategist, right? We see this a lot of the time, just to hold objective, right? Just to make sure you're constantly getting fights. And this is a good map for it. I think it's super, you know, lengthy. It is a convoy map at the end of the day. So they put energy onto that Magneto, playing this triple Vanguard, triple strategist, making sure this cart is never taken for ego death as energy sets up angles. You saw this. This is what we talked about in terms of fundamentals. Sorry to hog the mic here, shit, but it's really clean how energy just on this flank angle on Magneto, just able to get so much damage on the offside, similar to a duelist would. And right now, I mean, that's pressuring ego death even in their own spawn. Sambo's going to go down early.
Yeah, that recent change giving him reduced cooldown on that right click, as we see a pick there onto Zaytex. Well done by energy. These early spawn door holds buying them a ton of time, forcing out ultimates early and allowing FlyQuest. Oh wow, another great pick there onto Self, as we will see the cooldown for the passive pop, and they are literally at the door here with this triple Vanguard comp. We're seeing a lot more of this now on defense on these maps. It's all about holding here for as long as possible, not expecting to keep them in the door, but instead to buy as much time so that you can get a tough and a more favored defensive position later on down the line, as we do see the pop here, final judgment onto the back.
He fell, dude. Oh no, I don't know if he meant to do that, Shiv. He fell down the crack, and now he's stuck.
Happened twice there. Gonna have to smoke grenade back up to the top here. Again, gonna be shoving them back in, utilizing those ultimates, not finding a ton of value is going to be a major downside. Best gonna find Zaytex though. Again, well done by FlyQuest, getting these early picks energy onto Self once more, and they cannot get out of this zone. They are locked in and they are panicking. It's gotta be a full team reset, and we are gonna see a composition shift. We now have the Iron Man, who's gonna help clear out some of these Groot walls.
Yeah, this to me is experience right now for FlyQuest finally coming into fruition, right? They able to take those flank angles. Ego Death, you know, tunneled on that. We're trying to take it back as a full unit, and they got Groot ulted. So right now, FlyQuest shoving Ego Death towards their own spawn. It's been tough for Ego Death to find any purchase here.
And they are starting to at least progress the point forward, but Vess again onto Zaytex. Another early find here, doing that almost every single fight. Everything being popped down. The team's gonna have to reset. It's just consistent at this point. Ego gotta make sure they hold on and use ults together as the covering time. Not gonna find much value either, as the team just was not prepared for it.
Energy took another angle on the right side, just boops away that Wolverine who's trying to get close to him. He's keeping him at an arm distance, you know, like an adult with a child. Now, as Zaytex finds Spark Chief earlier on, but Rez from the beacon is just bringing Spark Chief right back into it. So FlyQuest still trying to win. Cooper with the copy now comes in with the Fate of the Worlds.
Yeah, and we're just gonna hold on to that Meteor M here for energy, potentially trying to shut down this Fate of both worlds. And I'm just gonna like to choose to hold on to that a little bit longer, use it as an escape method, as energy's just been sitting here on the point with no contest for a while. Up we go. Cooper gonna be dropping Sambo there, and that's another find early on, as they are just sweeping through Ego with all these ultimates. FlyQuest is gonna be roughly even. Maximum pulse goes down, and Eden and turned around as fire goes down. Energy, a demon here on this Magneto. Again, Spark Chief on the momentum, and oh my goodness, Vess onto Sambo and Zaytex. And are you kidding me? There is 30 seconds on the clock at the spawn door.
I mean, easily the most dominant we've seen on Aranco, unless Ego Death just have the biggest last stand of all time. It's all on Self here. That's why we see Iron Man's. It's been tough to get ultimates off on that character against Meteor M. All these Magneto players just hold their ultimate for you and then toss it right back into your back line. Right now, it's all on Self, and he's able to find Spark Chief yet again. And then Vess.
Yeah, the res is going to bring back Spark Chief early. Number still down for the side of Fly. Zatex taking out energy, and there we go. We're finding some value here again. Self making the rest of the team go down. That's 4. Make it 5. Self now showing up, but we are in OT, and things are getting serious. Alt advantage. Actually, neither team going to have much. We will see 2 for the side of Ego, who need to make some big plays here with the cap and the maximum pulse. Teleport goes out. It's going to wall off some LOS, and like we said, we like to see those teleports block off and be used as a wall. It's just there's no reason to not use them in that fashion, as it does allow your team to get some free space. Energy on the high side here. Now going to be making switch onto Psylocke, trying to find Zatex on height. Zatex going to be staying up there with Iron Man. Haven't seen a ton of Iron Man so far, but it is difficult to get ults off when you have the Magneto. Maximum pulse goes out. Not going to be matched, but instead not going to find value, as the return to sender was not ready for the Meteor M.
I mean, energy is constantly on that Iron Man, even though he has the snowflake pressuring him out. Here comes a Meteor M on the backside. Does it connect from Soko? When it does, Cooper goes down. I mean, this could be a momentum shift for Ego Death.
Yeah, Ego Death is finding their footing, and that all does find some purchase on a Zatex, but we are going to have the fate of both worlds, keeping the team healthy and up. That rocket that does not last long. Goodbye immediately, as it was out there. Tough to see the Cosmic Yarn go down like that. Zelo's gonna find Self Best on the far. That should be it, as Energy takes out 2, and they at least got it to this corner, which is very much a defensive position.
Huge win from FlyQuest, and right now this is looking how the first series should have gone, honestly, between FlyQuest and Ego Death. No offense to Ego Death, but this matchup between FlyQuest and Ego Death is looking like a tier above for FlyQuest. And you know, it's not any fault due to mechanics. It's just the team player right now from Ego Death maybe needs to relook at things, right? Because we saw first fight, they just got like pushed off. We saw angles being taken by Energy, and you know, on that note, you know, a lot of people in ranked will tell you, you know, if you're on a Hela or if you're on any hero, really, just to take flanks. You know, they don't really mean flank the whole map, go hide in the back line or whatever. They mean, you know, sort of take an off angle, you know, take a different approach to it, make sure they're pressured, force them to do something about you, use your cooldowns to get back, right? Anytime we saw Energy on the Magneto get pressured, he would always just push away with displacement onto Self, who was on the Wolverine or whoever it may be. He was constantly keeping them off of him and then falling back to his team. So that's really what you do, is that you take like a sort of soft off angle and then you fall back to your team like he did. So right now, FlyQuest kind of playing as a better team, and Ego Death, the real answer as well to what they did on attack is not to send everybody over there, because you tunnel vision on one person that's being annoying to your team, you're going to go down to the Strangling Prison like we saw out of Vest. He had 3 Strangling Prisons, one of them hit the cart, obviously, but you know, it's tough in this game because, you know, everything's projectile with your character being the focal point of the crosshair. But that's the discussion for another day. Regardless, FlyQuest taking advantage of Ego Death maybe being a not as not as prepared team, but regardless, Self is that dominant player. He could pop off on this defense.
Yeah, we'd love to see that from Self. Great lineup there. Gonna find one early, and that is the power of the team up with Luna. Self gonna be on that Hawkeye. We talked about having that in the bag, ready for play. Good tackle there. Talked about off angles. There's plenty of portals here that'll get you those off angles for free, as Energy takes out Soko, and already looks FlyQuest taking a ton of space here. They're not able to door them. Oh my goodness! What a decision to not allow anyone out. That is a really smart portal idea, and you love to see that from Fly, who will not allow them to escape that corner, and they just kind of walk them in there as they push around the first corner with 3 minutes. Oh, and what a pick again. Great freeze there to help take out Zelos off the start of this next fight. These portals do find you those off angles. You talk about off angles, and this map does that in spades, because you can use these portals to find yourself behind, to the side, and just have eyes looking away from your front line.
And this is what we needed to see out of Ego. I mean, yeah, sure, they're only getting picked anytime he has the frozen arrow up, but regardless, you talked about this, Shib, how Ego Death plays that Hawkeye to a high level, right?
Yeah, I think Self is a really mean Hawkeye. You can see just on the stat line alone, starting off this round 8-3, obviously with the Wolf, but we've seen nothing but KOs here from Self since the start here. Great tackle by Energy, and that is massive as Energy finds Soko. Zatex goes down from Adios. The composition here from FlyQuest looking very similar to last match, and they know that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We see more tackle here from Energy, just chasing through these portals as Spark Chief is going to reset on point, and they are very close here to taking home this W. They do.
Ladies and gentlemen, he found him. He got him. All the portals, Tom and Jerry-esque for sure. You know, play those music, play the tune. But that was such a good series from FlyQuest. I mean, showing there is levels to this and that. Maybe it was a bit of a fluke in the upper bracket. We'll see how EgoDeath does in the official playoffs themselves, but that is going to give them the lowest seed in their bracket. Regardless, to even make the playoffs as an unsigned team is very impressive. And for EgoDeath, I mean, we'll have to see who they go against in the matchup, because they're going to go against either Sentinels or Nemesis, who, you know, in Group B look pretty strong as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this stat line here, Energy, 8 final hits. There wasn't a ton of final hits on the board. Teams playing smart and at least resetting, but it was so dominant on the side of FlyQuest across the board with that hold. And you see Cooper again taking home that MVP on the Loki, just a mean Loki player. And yeah, it just had Ego shifting their comps like crazy, trying to find a way through it.
Yeah, right now Ego definitely needs a little bit more time together, maybe some experience, as well as FlyQuest, you know, really looked like the better team. And by the way, yeah, no, Audios was not playing the Namor the whole time. He was on Rocket the first half. So if you're wondering why he has the lowest damage in the lobby, it's because he was playing, you know, no damage Rocket almost, right? So right now FlyQuest looking like a pretty strong team, like you said, Shib, and I would be scared of them moving forward, because maybe group A is still like that group of death that we were talking about. It's just been an absolute gauntlet for every team so far.
Yeah, and I can't wait to ask about just studying up here. It seems like they knew this was coming. They knew that Araco was going to be selected, and they seem studied. They seem practiced. They had this composition locked in. They had the switch ready. They just owned almost 30 seconds on the clock left in the spawn door still. Just looked like a masterclass on defense. FlyQuest making the switch right after, too. It was just super well played, very much practiced, and that teleport idea is genius, and I will be taking that the ladder.
Now, yeah, exactly, and for sure. I mean, the portals on this map are amazing. They've kind of transitioned it away from Aranco. Maybe that's just for these maps. I know the devs love these sort of gimmicky maps, so I'm curious to see, you know, what kind of comes up next. And for FlyQuest, Shib, I mean, tough question before we have our interview. I mean, are they still a threat? I mean, we talked about that being a real threat, a real team going into this tournament. Now, does this win over EgoDeath put them back in that conversation to win the whole thing? I mean, is this a real team, a real force to be reckoned with in FlyQuest?
Yeah, they play so well as a unit. We talk about teams having good talent, but maybe not necessarily playing well together. And I think FlyQuest is a great example of a team that plays very well together. They just seemed cohesive. Every single one of them was finding value. There was no clear leader on the stat board. It was always well distributed. I think FlyQuest is very much a team to be afraid of. And I think they do have the ability to push through this tournament.
I would agree. I mean, we'll have to talk to FlyQuest and see what they have to say about it in a second, or at least one of the players from FlyQuest. And, you know, for FlyQuest, I would agree. They've looked really strong. And we have the group player himself from the second map. We have Vess in the call for the conversation, and I'm curious to see if his hair looks the same as yesterday. Did you? Oh, it's looking a little bit more washed today, Vess. I mean, not to say that yesterday wasn't, but I'm saying your hair looked crazy as hell, and now today it looks awesome. So good to see you, man. Good game. I mean, how do you feel after that series?
Oh, I mean, we feel great. We're very happy with how we played today.
Absolutely, and Invest. You farmed, I think, 3 ultimates on that second map and stuff. You know, obviously you played that triple Vanguard composition. Is that something that you guys like to play a lot? I know that, you know, we've seen a lot of teams play that on Convoy and on Convergence because, you know, obviously get a lot of fights and stuff. Is that still something that you would maybe run elsewhere? Maybe on Domination? Is there really no opportunity just because the Domination is so fast? I mean, what's your take comparing triple Vanguard, triple strategist from Convoy and Convergence going over to maybe like a map such as Domination?
Yeah, so obviously playing it on Convoy is very good. You usually get 3 fights because of like the strange TP and stuff. On Domination, it's not as good because like you just play that comp to stall really. So if you can't capture the point really, then it's not great. I'm sure it could be played other places. We just personally haven't scrimmed it like that, so we just prefer it on Convoy.
Awesome. Well, I have to ask this because it looked so studied. Did you guys assume that was going to be the map selection? Because it looked beautiful, and I know they've done that in the past. So is that going back to the tapes and preparing for that map?
Well, you know, we got to prepare every map against every team. So we have scrimmed that map a lot, especially since it just came out. We have less practice on it, so that gets played usually every scrim.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it looked like it. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Invest. I think for you as well. I mean, it was a phenomenal series from you, and you had a great series as well yesterday. And you know, I know it means a lot coming back into today, but like you said, you have to prepare for every team. Is this sort of your take on this on the new system, on the new ban system? I know that a lot of people are wondering what I'm sure your opinion is, and on your take on this sort of asynchronous ban system that we have right now for the Ignite series.
Yeah. I think target banning teams is really strong with this new ban system. Like, you get 4 bans, your bans don't affect your team, so you know you get to like really choose what the other team has available to them, and like banning out individual players is pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you looked really good on the Groot there. Obviously, energy taking over your Magneto. I believe you're in the conversation for one of the strongest Magnetos in this tournament. So I need to ask you the question, because I'm sure the audience is curious. How do you get as much value with Mag? Do you consider it more of a defensive ultimate, or are you more focused on shutting down strategists, or, you know, more impactful backline heroes?
I like to use Mag defensively. You know, when you load into a match, you look at the enemy comp and you just kind of see like what ultimates on their team you can eat with your mag grav. So like things like Hela or Iron Man. Sometimes you can eat like a Groot grav too. So you just kind of gotta like use it defensively. Look at what you can do with it into the comp they're playing.
Yeah, and you were getting 3 and 4 pieces yesterday. It was looking clean, man. So we're really well done there.
Thank you.
Invest. I think for you guys in FlyQuest, I mean, that it's now that it's been sort of this lower bracket run. You know, I mean, obviously a lot of people think you guys are probably back up in the top side, and are you feeling a lot more comfortable? I think in the meta, are you guys feeling a lot more confident now? You know, to either go against 100 Thieves or Envy with this specific composition you're running, or the variants, I suppose, that you do it with in this ban and protect phase.
Yeah, we definitely do have our confidence back, and we're playing really well. Like, even going into today, we knew that we were gonna win.
Absolutely, and you know, moving forward, we'll see you guys against Envy and 100 Thieves. You secured yourselves into that top 3 seed, and you know, thanks for coming, Vest, man. Is there anything, by the way, that you want to say before we let you go? It's good to interview as well, so I'm sure you know we get some more interviews with you in the future. It's always awesome talking to you.
Thank you. Nope, nothing else I can really think of. I appreciate you guys having me.
Awesome. Been a pleasure talking to you, man. As always, well done, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you. You too.